Top stories on the Weekender. Team Unity steps up protest actions against the Speaker of the National Assembly. Minister of Education faces off with teachers and their physician as air quality issues persist at the Basta High School. And incoming Chamber of Industry and Commerce President plans to tackle high energy costs. Welcome to the first edition of the WINN Weekender, a comprehensive recap of the big stories that made the news this week in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm Tony Frederick. As staff and students at the Basta High School continue to report symptoms believed to be caused by air quality issues at the campus, the Ministry of Education seems ready to face off with teachers and their physician. We hear more in this report. Wednesday morning, the Minister of Education, Nigel Carty, issued a statement pointing fingers at dermatologist Dr. Thelma Phillip-Brown, accusing her of collaborating with some teachers to plan a strike. Wednesday afternoon, Dr. Brown responded, insisting that she had no agenda beyond ensuring that the campus environment was safe.
I saw a child recently who had actually what we'd call a chemical burn both sides of her eyes. Whatever was irritating her eyes, she was rubbing it so much that it burned all the sides, both sides of her eyes, and on the right eyelid. And I didn't even write anything about that. All I wrote was a note to the teacher that she wouldn't sweep because she also gets a problem when she's sweeping. That's all I wrote. When I gave the letter to the mother, she looked at it and she said, "I hope nothing in here to make them get angry." And the child said, "So what if they get angry?" And I almost cried because I realized that we are so politicized that the children are suffering. And our first thought, even as parents, is offending somebody else.
Dr. Brown believes that her call to have a team from Kariri brought back to St. Kitts to conduct follow-up tests as they had recommended is not being taken seriously because of her affiliation with an opposition party. Do you have an agenda? Are you making these statements for political gain or political mileage?
I'm not running anywhere. In terms of talking frankly, what I see and the concerns I've done it for almost 30 years in this country, whoever government is in power. I've spoken when Pam was there, I've seen an issue, I've spoken against it, and the same here. I help this Labour government to get in. If I'm talking now, it's because I think something is wrong.
In a statement issued Wednesday, Minister of Education Nigel Carty levelled accusations at Dr. Phillip-Brown, suggesting that with the facilitation of the president of the St. Kitts Teachers Union, she's trying to encourage teachers at the Basta High School to go on strike. Minister Carty says that at a meeting Tuesday held at the offices of the Teachers Union President, Mr. Ron Collins, Dr. Phillip-Brown set out to scare the teachers who were present by telling them that the school was contaminated. Her conclusions, he says, are baseless, erroneous and deliberate and contrary to the findings of Kariri. Dr. Phillip-Brown denies that she has ever been asked by the ministry to provide information about her patients to the Ministry of Health, as Minister Carty said in his statement on Wednesday.
I started seeing students complaining of different issues, students and teachers. Shortly after the school reopened, I waited until November. Just to be sure, I spoke to the headmistress to ensure that really there were issues, that there were symptoms, that this was not just psychological. I wrote to the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education. I copied several persons, including Ministry of Health, CMO, Teachers Union, etc., and the other members on the committee. I have not had a response from anyone, so I'm not sure who said that I should provide information because I was not told that.
She dismissed the assertion by Minister Carty that she was due to speak at a PTA meeting on Wednesday with the aim of eliciting a desired result.
I really don't wish to get into any back and forth with the minister. I noticed he said that Kariri said this school was free of, or something to that effect, of contamination. So I will encourage him to make the report public so everyone can see for themselves whether that is the truth or not.
Wednesday afternoon, the president of the St. Kitts Teachers Union, Ron Collins, also responded to the minister's statement Wednesday.
there are a number of teachers who have reported to the teachers union that they are experiencing the same vertigo, dizziness, the rashes, various breakout in their face, the itching, and the list goes on. The same areas of ailments that were being experienced before. What we did as a union, because we know that this is a very politically charged environment, and so as a union, we wrote to the Minister of Education several weeks ago requesting audience so that we can properly address and we ask critical questions to ensure that everything was good at Bastille High. But the areas of illness have grown. In fact, last week, I again was bombarded with reports from teachers. The teachers union at the executive level has addressed this. They recommended that we write to the minister, which we did. He has not to date even acknowledged receipt of the correspondence.
Mr. Collins, who's also a guidance counsellor at Bastille High, defended Dr. Brown's attendance at the meeting on Tuesday, saying that she had been asked to serve as the union's medical advisor while the air quality issues at the school were being dealt with. Responding to the minister's claim that a number of teachers have reported that they're being pressured into facilitating a strike, Mr. Collins categorically denied that teachers were planning industrial action. The opposition coalition Team Unity took to the streets of Bastille this past week to get their message directly to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Curtis Martin. The protesters stood outside the Central Street branch of the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank, where Mr. Martin works, almost every morning this week, calling on him to table the over 14-month-old motion of no confidence in the St. Kitts and Nevis government. More from WINN FM's Ken Richards.
Team Unity protesters say they were able to get their message directly to Speaker Curtis Martin during the latest demonstration Monday. Protesting outside the National Bank where the Speaker works for the third time, Team Unity demonstrators were on hand as the Speaker arrived at the bank. The opposition are trying to pressure Speaker Martin in keeping with a court ruling that says there are no impediments to him tabling the motion of no confidence in the Denzel Douglas-led Labour Party administration. Team Unity leader Dr. Timothy Harris told WINN FM that the protesters were able to make their position clear to the Speaker.
Scores of persons came out with their placard, greeted the Speaker when he came accompanied by security forces carrying machine guns, greeting him and reminded him, we have an urgent matter to deal with, and you ought to man up to the responsibility and to have the motion tabled and debated expeditiously according to the judgment.
Now, Dr. Harris, how peaceful was today's demonstration? Because I understand the protesters crowded around the Speaker.
Very peaceful, very, very peaceful, as always. The fact that we are on the site where the Speaker worked, the fact that the Speaker came, the fact that people shouted, let the motion be heard, call the motion. Those are all within their democratic rights. This is part of the peaceful agitation. No one touched him, no one accosted him in any way. So we are within our rights. We have a constitutional right to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of assemblage, and we are reinforcing those rights.
Couldn't the Speaker say, though,
with that?
Couldn't the Speaker say he's being intimidated, he has security concerns by what is happening outside his workplace?
The only security concern which the Speaker may have is his failure will come from his failure to do the right thing. When a High Court judge eases the burden for the Speaker by telling him what the law is, then the Speaker shouldn't need any other motivation to do the right thing. And the longer he stops before he does the right thing, he will create an unease in the country and greater instability.
Dr. Harris says Speaker Curtis Martin needs to ensure that the motion is tabled urgently. It was filed in December of 2012. I'm Ken Richards for WINN Weekender.
Damien Hobson, the newly elected president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Chamber of Industry and Commerce, is promising to lead the private sector efforts to tackle the high energy costs that are taking a heavy toll on local businesses. We hear more from Clive Backus.
Mr. Hobson, the managing director of Hobson Enterprises, was elected at the 64th Annual General Meeting of the Chamber held in the Ocean Terrace in Bastille on Wednesday.
As times and business situations change, the Chamber has to change to ensure that it remains relevant to the needs of its members. One area common to all businesses is the cost of energy. Hence, one of my initial areas of concentration will be the re-energizing of the Energy Committee to consult with government on the various options on how alternative energy systems can reduce energy costs to the business and residential consumers in a sustainable manner. The other areas of focus will be 1. To increase the Chamber membership, 2. To improve communication with members, 3. To improve dialogue with government, and 4. To strengthen the financial position of the Chamber.
The outgoing Chamber President, David Lake, who demits office March 1st, reported that the country did reasonably well in the past year, with signs of recovery in the U.S. market and an increase in construction.
We received satisfactory quarterly reviews from the IMF, though challenged by a debt to GDP that still stands over 100%. Your Chamber continued to do its part to bring our economy to a level of sustainable growth by seeking opportunities for local businesses. To this end, the Board, through the regular monthly meetings and representation on various government institutions, made recommendations aimed at creating a sound business environment for members and non-members alike.
He said, though, the highlight of the year was the signing of a historic agreement between the Chamber and the Chinese International Cooperation Association.
This agreement, 2 years in the making, was signed by Mr. Chong-Yu Wang, Chairman of SAICA, on the 24th of January, 2014. I, in return, had the privilege of affixing my signature as your President in the presence of His Excellency Miguel Tsao, Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan. This is the first ever private sector agreement that has been signed between SAICA and any other private organization anywhere in the world.
Still to come on the WINN Weekender, the Prime Minister admits that the defection of 2 senior government ministers affected his St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party.
What's for lunch, Mom? I'm hungry.
Would you get out of the pot?
It's just what our home needed.
¿Puedes dejar de trastear? ¿A la izquierda? No. Mucho.
Honey, could you pass me the bread, please?
At Courts, every day we bring affordability, convenience, innovation, and style to over 1 million customers in 11 countries. From homes to communities, we are proud to make a difference in the lives of many across the region. Courts, bringing value home.
When it comes to building materials, hardware items, and home improvement supplies, if you want it, Portsmouth Building Center has got it, right, Mr. World?
Aston got the hardware. Yes, we got the hardware. Tools, we got it. Lumber, we got it. Cement, we got it. We got it. Steel, we got it. Paint, we got it. With spices, we got it. We got it. Aston got the hardware. Oh yes, we got the hardware.
For the best prices and best quality on all your home renovation and building material needs and more at Portsmouth Building Center.
We got it.
I want it. I want it. I want it. I want it. I want it. Gold. Blue and gold.
Real Caribbean beer.
Welcome back to the WINN Weekender. News in politics. The defection of 2 senior government ministers from the Denzel Douglas-led administration a year ago had a telling impact on the ruling St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party. That was confirmed Wednesday by Dr. Douglas in an interview with Radio Anguilla. Ken Richards picks up the story.
The defection of two senior government ministers from the Denzel Douglas administration a year ago had a telling impact on the governing Labour Party. That was confirmed Wednesday by Prime Minister Denzel Douglas in an interview with Radio Anguilla. Dr. Douglas suggested, however, while being interviewed by Radio Anguilla's Keith Stonegraves, that his St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party had been able to successfully recover from that obvious body blow.
I think naturally it created a bit of uncertainty as to the unified approach that the government had taken for several years. We had operated even under very difficult conditions internally. We had not expressed that externally, and so the government functioned quite smoothly. But with a public demonstration of cracks being in the leadership of the party and of the government, naturally I believed it would have caused uncertainty in the nation generally. But because we were very careful in ensuring that although the members were removed, persons who were in the cabinet stepped forward, the party hierarchy and leadership rallied with the leadership in the government, and very shortly after we were able to again present a united front to the point where the party and government appeared very stable, very attractive.
Prime Minister Douglas also indicated why the pending general election has not yet been held. With his administration likely to lose a now 14-month-old motion of no confidence because of the 6-5 equation of elected MPs that favor the opposition, Dr. Douglas has made it clear that he prefers going into an election.
The elections have been delayed, I would think, for two fundamental reasons. I think the matter of the motion being taken to the court by the opposition has delayed the elections. And since then, of course, we have also been further preparing ourselves. Secondly, the matter of the boundaries. As you know, the opposition went to court last year, had an injunction imposed on the Governor General by the court, and so the matter is now up for hearing. Just this week, the court has ruled, Friday, the court has ruled that it will begin to hear the matter of the boundaries on the 4th of April, that is next month, 2 months from now, the 4th of April, so that I hope that we will be able to overcome that difficulty and get into the election.
The High Court in Bastille has ruled that there is no impediment to the tabling of the motion of no confidence in the government. However, the Prime Minister in his Radio Anguilla interview begged to differ.
But I think there is an impediment in the sense that the Speaker is waiting on the court to direct it.
Opposition alliance Team Unity and its supporters have been picketing the National Bank, the workplace of Speaker Curtis Martin, urging him to abide by the court ruling and table the motion of no confidence. The nation is meanwhile awaiting the election date announcement as both sides of the political divide continue to make their case for power on the campaign trail. Prime Minister Douglas is in the meantime making a case against coalition arrangements, suggesting that Team Unity is likely to implode if given the reins of power.
Look at what has happened in Trinidad and Tobago. A government came together 3-4 years ago, is almost totally decimated because of confusion when different parties are strung together in order to remove a strong party. Look at what has happened in Grenada. Look at what happened in Grenada. In less than 4 years after Mr. Tillman Thomas became the Prime Minister, the party has so crumbled as a result of fighting within a coalition that not even one seat was won by that coalition government party in the last election. It's just 2 days ago, the British Prime Minister has made it absolutely clear that if ever he is finding himself in a minority position in the next election, he will never seek a coalition partnership to run the country. He will go into opposition. because it's just confusion.
Both Trinidad and Tobago and Britain continue to have functional coalition governments at the moment. In Grenada's case, the party that lost the last general election last year was the National Democratic Congress and not a coalition of political parties. I'm Ken Richards for the WINN Weekender.
To end the WINN Weekender, some of our top stories. Team Unity steps up protest against the Speaker of the National Assembly. Minister of Education faces off with teachers and their physician as air quality issues persist at the Bastair High School. You've been watching the WINN Weekender. On behalf of the WINN TV News team, I'm Tony Frederick reporting.